Deep, deep down in the ocean, past the coral reefs and schools of shimmering fish, lived Anthony Vidrine. Not in a regular house, oh no, Anthony lived in a pineapple. A giant pineapple, perched precariously on the ocean floor. It had windows made of sparkling seaweed and a front door guarded by two grumpy but lovable lobsters. Inside, the pineapple was surprisingly cozy. Anthony had decorated it with seashells, colourful pebbles, and even a bubbling treasure chest that served as his coffee table. He loved his underwater home. It was peaceful and quiet, except for the occasional singing seahorse or the trumpet blasts of a passing conch shell band. Anthony, you see, was no ordinary man. He was married to a princess. Every morning he would climb out of his pineapple, wave goodbye to his lobster guards, and swim upwards towards the surface. There, high above the clouds, nestled amongst fluffy white mountains, was his real home. A magnificent castle. The castle shimmered like a diamond in the sky. It was made of clouds, rainbows, and pure sunshine. A true fairy tale palace. This was where his wife, Princess Joline, lived. Joline was beautiful, with long flowing hair the colour of spun moonlight and eyes that sparkled like the stars themselves. Anthony and Joline were childhood sweethearts. They met at a costume party. He was dressed as a pirate and she was a fairy. It was love at first sight. Joline didn't mind that Anthony lived in a pineapple under the sea. In fact, she found it rather charming. Life in the Cloud Castle was never dull. For one thing, their neighbour was the famous boxer, Mike Tyson. Yes, you read that right. Mike Tyson, the boxing champion, lived in a giant boxing glove-shaped house right next door. They would often have tea parties together, with sugar cubes for Mike and seaweed crackers for Anthony. Mike Tyson, surprisingly, was a very good baker and often brought over his famous chocolate chip cookies. Life was full of surprises for Anthony, but nothing could have prepared him for the day he won the Nobel Peace Prize. It all happened because of a giant squid, a very grumpy, very hungry giant squid who had decided to hold the entire ocean hostage. He demanded tribute in the form of the world's supply of seaweed snacks. Leaders from all over the world were in a panic. Who could stop this monstrous squid? Anthony, being a kind and brave soul, decided to talk to the squid. He swam right up to the enormous creature, offered him one of Mike Tyson's special chocolate chip cookies, and calmly explained that taking the world's seaweed snacks was not the way to solve problems. The giant squid, surprisingly touched by Anthony's words and the deliciousness of the cookie, calmed down immediately. He released the ocean and even apologized for the trouble he'd caused. The world rejoiced. Anthony Vidrine, the man from the pineapple under the sea, became an instant hero. He was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for his bravery and his unique approach to conflict resolution. What nobody knew was that the cookie Anthony had given the giant squid was no ordinary cookie. It was one of Mike Tyson's special magic cookies made with a secret ingredient. These cookies had unusual effects, especially on Princess Joline. You see, Joline had a secret. When she ate these magic cookies, she turned into a completely different person. Gone was the sweet, gentle princess. In her place stood a wild, unpredictable woman with a mischievous glint in her eye and a booming laugh that could shake the clouds from the sky. This Joline had been in the army. She knew how to fight and wasn't afraid of anyone. She'd even spent a short time in prison for accidentally blowing up a microwave during a cooking competition. Anthony loved his wife, but he secretly dreaded it when she got hold of those magic cookies. One day, Mike Tyson accidentally left a whole box of magic cookies on their doorstep. Anthony, knowing what could happen, hid the box in the highest tower of their cloud castle. Unfortunately, Joline, with her exceptional army training, knew exactly where to look. Chaos ensued. Joline hopped up on magic cookies, challenged Mike Tyson to a boxing match, tried to teach the palace guards how to breakdance, and even attempted to knit a giant sweater for the moon. Anthony, with the help of the two grumpy lobsters, finally managed to wrestle the last cookie away from Joline. Exhausted but victorious, Anthony watched as Joline drifted off to sleep, the last traces of magic cookie mischief fading from her eyes. The next morning, Joline woke up with a slight headache and no memory of the previous day's events. Anthony wisely decided not to mention it. Life went on. Anthony continued to split his time between his peaceful pineapple under the sea and the always eventful cloud castle with his princess. He remained a hero, a symbol of peace and the bravest man under the sea. He faced every challenge with a smile and a cookie, a regular one, of course. And though he sometimes wished for a normal life, deep down he wouldn't trade his extraordinary life for anything in the world. Because after all, who else could say they lived in a pineapple under the sea, married to a princess, friends with Mike Tyson, and had a Nobel Peace Prize sitting on their mantle?